Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Dark Knight's Death Metal Legends of the Dark Knight #1. This book, the print date was October 2020, and I look at this issue as more of a, what would you want to call it, a compendium, because you get an idea of who the Dark Knights are within the Dark Knight's Death Metal run. Because, you jump into it, and this is what I was talking about. Let me add a little antidote to this. When I reviewed the original Dark Knight's Death Metal comics, I was pretty harsh on them. I go back and I was just like, damn, was I salty when I did those books. And my biggest gripe on them was, you shouldn't have every single thing happen outside of your main event book. I mean, there were 7 issues. I know they had a lot to go through. But there was just a whole lot of books in this. Compared to like Metal, where the main Batman Dark Knight's Metal series, you didn't have to read everything else to really understand. Sure, they had the one-shots of all the different Batmans, and that to me was like the best part of the series. But it was everything else you didn't have to really read if you didn't want to. This, on the other hand, I think, just to kind of put it in context, I believe this book takes place after the first Death Metal issue, because the Batman Who Laughs, quote unquote, dies, and then all of a sudden comes back as a a Dr. Manhattan type character. And I can't remember if that was the end of #1 or the beginning of issue 2, and that's where he crowns the King Robin, which we also get a one shot of that. There was just so many damn books in this event. And anyway, I hope with me kind of ranting, you guys got a chance to read up on this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 issues. And then another thing about Death Metal that I wish that they would have done. Now let's think about this. When they did the Age of Apocalypse, for example, they canceled all the main X titles, put them on hiatus, and focused on just those books. That works, because now you know what the universe is focusing on, and you're not having to think, okay, well, I'm trying to read Death Metal, I'm trying to read this Batman series, and then this Batman series, and then we're talking about Future State, and it was just too much going against this book at the time. I feel like if DC would have slowed the F down, let the other book kind of take hiatus when they did like what they did with Future State, which I don't want to talk about Future State, I want to talk about Death Metal. I feel like this would have been better. But anyway, what happens here is they talk about taking a Dr. Manhattan type brain and putting it in to the Batman Who Laughs. And it goes through and talks about where he got the brain, how he kind of became self-aware, how no matter how much Batman wants to go on the path and be what he is in the dark multiverse, it's unattainable, because this is a corrupted world, and that's why the Batman Who Laughs wants to come to Earth Zero so he can rule. Because even though there's all these multiverses that popped up, the 52 evil multiverses, they were all destroyed, and why he gathered the worst of the worst in the original run, and why he made his deal with Barbatos, and when Barbatos was defeated, he made his deal with Perpetua, which helped allow him to take over Earth Zero. So lots to try to keep up with. And again, it doesn't even in Justice League, they didn't even stop Justice League, even though there was this whole thing with fighting Perpetua and trying to heal the Source Wall. There was too much going on at this time. Like, way too many storylines. Nobody, I felt like, was trying to work together, or if they were doing so ever like, oh, we're doing this. Okay, well, we're doing that. Well, it kind of matches up type thing. Anyway, the Batman Who Laughs talks about how he found Bruce Wayne, who found a type of power source. And when he was going to turn it on, he caused kind of like the Manhattan effect, like in The Watchmen. And that's where, when we see this blue body, it's like, so I have my path to ascension. And don't get me wrong, cool moments like this. The artist on this book was Tony S. Daniel, which I loved his run on Batman after Batman R.I.P. He was basically the artist and writer for the Batman book for a long time when Dick Grayson was the Dark Knight. And it was awesome. And to see him return and do cool stuff like this, that's awesome. But anyway, this story talks about how he jacked that body, and he's basically now on a level where he could fight against Perpetua. And just this page right here is what I love the most. He goes, "My mind crackles with cosmic awareness. I have a sense of the power that will soon be in my grasp. And I see what I still have to overcome to take it all in hand. The speedster with the touch of Manhattan, Wally West, I will take his power, and then I will rise and create my own multiverse. A multiverse that laughs. Every planet like a bullet to be fired at gods like Perpetua. A multiverse that will eat all others, reality after reality, until there is no being in the universe, or should I say the omniverse, but me, the darkest night of all." And then we go back to the beginning, and all the Alfreds are asking if the operation was a success, and they're saying, "Say something, please." Bang. Because he basically, in this story, I'm just kind of briefly going over because there's a lot, but he uses this analogy of, the gun that killed his parents and stuff. He goes, he says, "I'm the bullet now," or "I'm the gun," or something like that. And the multiverse, the omniverse is the alley, or something like that. So basically saying that I'm the Dark Knight that creates these universes, etc., and so forth. It's an interesting read. Kind of feels a little overdone, but seeing how he finally is able to have that blue body that he has in the second issue of Dark Knight's Death Metal makes a lot more sense in why the Dark Knight is important. Which goes back to me saying, if you don't talk about that in your main book, people that just want to read the main event book aren't going to get it, and they're not really going to care unless they read this issue. And that's why, again, I feel like Death Metal wasn't as popular as its main title. Now, the next issue, even though the Robin King got his own standalone issue, this kind of goes further into how he was as a child, how Alfred blames himself for covering the tracks of this murderous, psychotic Bruce Wayne. Now, I don't mean to bash art, because, if you try, you make art. But the Robin King standalone comic, and then this, I can see how they wanted to kind of keep the thematic look that the other book established. But I don't know. I do not like it for a Batman book. I feel like this should be something more like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac or Invader Zim or something to that degree. But trying to talk about a murderous, killer, warped Bruce Wayne, I just feel like this just takes away from the violence, because the writer is Peter J. Tomasi, and the story itself, like the narrative, great. And if you like this art style, nothing personal. I'm glad you do, but talking about a Bruce Wayne that murdered his own parents and became became a sadistic psychopath that even kills, where is it? Kills Jim Gordon. It's just hard to take serious with this style of art, especially when we see him as the Robin King here. You would hope to see something more vicious, but this just feels too cartoony. But if you want to know more about the Robin King, which I highly recommend, check this out and the one shot. Now, one thing that I don't get is, I just said this should be a compendium to help you understand the Death Metal story and a majority of all the dark Batman that we see in the series. This one made the least amount of sense. Because it says we thought him mad. What else could he be but mad? They say his own bat cave swallowed him alive, crushing him beneath its collapsing stone walls. All he had done and been left undone came down to this. His treasure vault became his tomb. Gnashing his teeth in the darkness, his hands broken, arms useless, but that magnificent brain still firing, electric against darkness, rising in his eyes. He had wasted so much time on theme and thesis, plots and plans. He had wasted so much of his life on keeping us alive. Why be a bat when one can be a man? Why be a man when one can be a king? And then we see Batmansaurus Rex. All hail the B-Rex. Once we thought him mad. But now we know. So this shows a universe where Batman apparently became a dinosaur. But it is literally one page. Okay, technically 2 pages. That's it. Other than kind of getting this third-person narration from the Scarecrow talking about fear, why do I care? It's interesting. I like the randomness of a Batman T-Rex, but other than that, I don't care. That's it. Moving on. Get past the ads. And then this one. This was another one where it basically shows that, like, this could have been a great standalone, like, Elseworld story, like the Doom that came to Gotham, or Gotham by Gaslight, or the Golden Streets of Gotham, all those, because it essentially talks about this cult that was in Gotham. And I mean, look at this. That would have been a great cover done by Mike Mignola. But it just shows that Batman is old. Damian is Batman, but he can't live up to the standards that Bruce wants. And so Bruce embraces this cult and essentially becomes Gotham. That alone, I mean, this was maybe, 4 or 5 pages. This would have been an interesting Elseworld story, but without the whole thing of Batman becoming a city, that was kind of dumb. But it's still, this is called This Man, This City. It's interesting. And then there's the art team doing it. Okay. But the one that's important is the end. Society was running out of gas. The people were unable to govern, unable to protect their own selves from their demons among them. They needed leadership, a watcher and enforcer. I put part of myself into every piece of technology that ran the world. I could see everything. I was everything. He's like, I became a part of Gotham's lives until they rose up. And they basically destroyed almost every tech that Batman was uploaded to. I was systematically wiped from this planet. My digital, technological, and physical self were destroyed. Except for me. All the imprints of my old self are inside this monstrous shell. I ride alone now. For the world, for Gotham, they need me to show them the way. I will rise again. And so again, beginning of Dark Knight's Death Metal number 2. We are introduced to Batmobeast, the very arrogant machine that Wally West and Wonder Woman and Swamp Thing have hacked to get across the wasteland. And I wish we could have spent a little more time with the Road Warrior here and seen how the Dark Knight, the Batman Who Laughs, recruited him. Because again, only 2 pages. Damn it. I want more. So that's what I was saying is this, it's more of a compendium than like a book in and of itself. It helps you understand the world of the Dark Knight's Death Metal better, which again, I wish that you didn't have to read several different books to understand the main event book. That grinds my gears on a whole nother level. But nonetheless, if you pick it up, it's a fun read. There's hit or miss issues, as I just pointed out. The first one with the Dr. Manhattan, Batman Who Laughs, and The Road Warrior are two of my particularly favorite ones. If you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little death metal bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.